Candidate for Senate John Racy on our show. Welcome to the show, sir.
Caden, good to be here. I know it was a little bit of an exercise here, but we finally made it.
Yeah, I know. So, anyway, first question I wanted to ask you was why are you running for Senate?
Well, I think the main reason I'm running for Senate is I love my country, and I want to see my country do a lot better. The recession or lack of recovery in the recession, let's just say that, by the Obama administration doesn't parallel what Reagan did in 81 and 82, and how he came out of recession and how Obama came out of, or tried to come out of a recession are two different things. So the biggest reason that I'm running is that our country needs people who know how to create jobs, and certainly a Manchin and Obama don't know.
Now, what are some of your top goals that you would like to do if you got elected?
Well, I think the top goal that I'd like to do is a couple things. First of all, I'd say goals, not just a goal. But the monetary situation in our country today, I think, is just paramount importance. And nobody is really addressing what we're looking at today is the debt situation. And I think the debt situation is something that is probably the most important thing that we can look at. And we've got to quit spending money, and we've got to start balancing budgets. And we have to understand that the American people are the ones that can get us out of this thing, not government spending. So I would like to initiate, along with a lot of other senators, I think, that put coalitions of like-minded senators together and start balancing the budget and stop the spending and start putting America first again. And when you say put America first again, you have to start cutting taxes and cutting regulations. But it's a lot of things that we have to do. But if we can get like-minded senators together that have the vision that at least we do here, and that's what I always call myself a capitalist, but the capitalism is going to save America. And I've always believed that, and government is the problem, and it's certainly not the solution.
President Obama started Obamacare. Joe Manchin said, I am going to vote against the bad parts of Obamacare, but then a couple months after he was elected, he voted against repealing it. Now, what are you going to do when Obamacare comes back up for repeal?
Well, my father always told me a long time ago, if you've got 10 troubles walking down the road at you, 9 of them usually jump in the gutter before they get to you. I have a strong feeling that the United States Supreme Court is going to declare Obamacare unconstitutional.
Yeah.
I feel very strongly that they will. Mandated and forced coverage of purchasing in this country is against the Constitution. You can't force people to buy. You can't force people to do a mandate as such.
And that's ridiculous.
So I think that the Supreme Court is going to overturn it. I think that the only thing that we need to do is tweak our health care system. I think we have the greatest health care system in the world. I know I think it, I know it. And to turn the other 50% of health care over to the federal government, who has failed miserably with Medicare and Medicaid as far as trying to make those fluent and functional, would be a complete disaster. So I don't know about Joe Manchin or where he comes from, but 55% of West Virginians don't want Obamacare. Now, I know Manchin always says he's a West Virginian, but when you have 55% of the West Virginians don't want it, what's Manchin voting for it? Doesn't make any sense.
And see, the thing that I would like to know from Senator Manchin, maybe I can get him on this program.
I think that's a great idea.
I doubt that would happen, though, if he listened to him. But I would like to ask him, what does he consider the good parts of Obamacare? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I'd like to know that myself, because unmitigated and unadulterated socialism, where does that benefit anybody in a democracy and free enterprise nation like we have? I don't get it either.
And I mean, Mr. Racy, in Canada, they know it as socialized universal health care. Socialized, not capitalist, socialized. And when the president is wanting to bring this bill in, and Joe Manchin supporting this as well, also congratulating the president on succeeding with Obamacare, I think that this is sort of going against American values and American principles. It's going against capitalism and everything that America stands for. And when they are wanting to force Obamacare on the citizens, they're wanting to force everyone to be covered by it, this is not freedom. In other countries, such as Canada, Australia, Great Britain, all of them have this system but they have terrible health care. I recall doing a story about this about a year ago. There was this man's name that was Jack Tagg that was going blind in one eye. He was from Great Britain. And what happened was they said that they are not going to cover him unless he goes blind in at least one eye and starts to go blind in the second eye until they'll give him coverage. This is what we are basically inviting into this country. And that's ridiculous.
Well, there's not only that, and it's what you know and I know. There's going to be rationing because there's not going to be enough doctors to go around. And we hear right now there might be 40,000 doctors give up the profession because they don't want to mess with it. And, they don't have to, do they? They can go other areas and other places. And that is a concern. But when you start taking capitalism and free enterprise away from the medical profession and turning it over to the federal government, God, what has the federal government ever done that has worked correctly? It doesn't. The private sector is the ones that have to make money, have to make the advancements, the technology, and it's always been that way in America. But the best story, I think, and certainly to dovetail on what you thought, is the Prime Minister of Newfoundland. And when the Prime Minister of Newfoundland in Canada had a heart attack and had heart problems, he didn't go to Newfoundland for some of that socialized medicine that you were talking about. He went to the United States. And when he returned to Newfoundland and the press asked him, why did you go, and don't you feel that the socialized medicine in Newfoundland should have taken care of your scenario, he responded by saying, it's my health, it's my heart, it's my decision, and I'll go where I need to go to select the doctor that I want. Case closed. Anytime government starts to micromanage the economy, it is the death of capitalism, and that's what we're going to have. Capitalism requires the limitation of government powers to maximize the freedom of an individual, and that's the way it's always been in this country. It's why we still have the best healthcare system in the world. When people get sick all across the world and all these nations that have socialized medicine that has failed, most leaders of other nations, where do they go? Well, they go to Duke University, they go to the Mayo Clinic, they go to Pittsburgh. They come to this country. Now, when Ted Kennedy was sick, and he was somebody that really wanted socialized medicine in this country, he didn't go to England, did he? Did he go to Canada? Did he go to Germany? Did he go to France? He went to Duke in North Carolina. It also goes back to our spending problem in this country. How can we afford this extra scenario in healthcare? I was just reading the other day at Hillsdale College had a study. They think the projections right now over the next 10 years will be $2.5 trillion additional in deficit spending added to our debt. $2.5 trillion. That's Hillsdale College trying to study. Now, when we hear Manchin and we hear a lot of these bureaucrats, as I've expressed earlier, the number one problem I still think in this country is this debt, the $16 trillion debt, and our deficits that we're running and we're accumulating, because in 2 years we're going to be like Greece, or in less than 2 years we're going to be like Spain. Not acceptable. And we have the capacity and the facilities right now to stop this. But we don't have any courage, do we? No. We have no courage. Now, and that's demonstrated right in the Senate and right in the House.
I think Mr. Manchin is trying to stay in the middle. He's not wanting to put his support on the entire Democratic side, and he's not wanting to put his support on the entire Republican side, although he does think Democrat. And here recently he has made the comment, I don't know if I'm going to vote for Barack Obama in the upcoming 2012 election. What?
He doesn't.
Of course he is. Because also I was reading in our local paper, the Record Delta. He supports the Warren Buffett package. So he's definitely not going to support Mitt Romney, a big businessman. That wouldn't make sense. Because when you are saying, the rich should be taxed more, and you support a big budget that is going to have a negative effect on businesses as well as the private sector. And then you're going to say that you're going to vote for Mitt Romney?
If he doesn't support Obama, and this is what he claims, or he doesn't know, first of all, what's taking him so long to figure it out? I figured that out a long time ago. But let's look at what he does support. 85% of the time, Manchin has voted with Barack Obama, whether it's health care or stimulus spending or his fetish, Joe Manchin's fetish, which is cap and trade, which he has tried so eloquently and so hard and successfully put into West Virginia. That's something Obama couldn't even get done nationally. Joe Manchin is absolutely the worst thing economically that's ever happened to the state of West Virginia. And all you have to do is look at when he was governor, when he took over the governorship. We had 4.5% unemployment, and when he left, it was up to 8. Is that a job creator? Reminds me a lot of Barack Obama.
Right.
Very similar.
And he's been playing this little game for a long time now, even when he's in the Senate. He didn't show up to vote for Don't Ask, Don't Tell. He didn't show up to vote for the DREAM Act. He is trying to basically stay in the center so he can't say, I didn't vote for that. You can't blame me because that passed. And it's like he's playing a little game here, doing anything that he can to get reelected.
I'm calling on them to repeal House Bill 103, which is West Virginia's version of cap and trade. It needs to be repealed. We're the only coal-producing state in America that has it, and I'm sure that you saw what happened at the cracker plant. It didn't locate in West Virginia. It located where? It located in Pennsylvania. Now, does Pennsylvania have this great work environment, or let's say business environment, that's better than West Virginia? Well, they have one thing that's better than West Virginia. They don't have cap and trade. And any company that's going to do its due diligence have to remember that energy and private property are the cornerstones of capitalism, and any company that does their due diligence on where they're going to locate, they're not going to locate in a state that has cap and trade. I have a big question mark with the legislature, what the Coal Association, what the Chamber of Commerce in West Virginia, and what Mr. Tomlin and Mr. Manchin are trying to do to the state of West Virginia. But always remember, Spain went down this track. Environmental jobs, and what an economic disaster. California went down this avenue. They also have cap and trade. What an economic disaster. The list of history behind everything that you're hearing and watching, what are we trying to do to this country? But always remember that if you try to control energy in this country, if the government tries to control energy, they're controlling manufacturing, they're controlling jobs, they're controlling the economy. And when they start controlling the economy and they start to micromanage our economy, then they're destroying what we know best as free enterprise and capitalism, and that's what's going on in our country today. It's unacceptable, totally unacceptable.
And I got to tell you, I am extremely pleased with the messages that you have. I really like your campaign, and I think. Well,
I appreciate that.
And I think that if you get in there, you're going to make a heck of a senator. But
well, I'd like to get in there for 6 years, because I believe, as our founding forefathers believe, I think you serve a certain amount of time and then you go home to the farm. And I don't have much more than 2 or 3 years if we're going to do anything to try to resurrect this great country and put it in the position that we should have it. We don't have a luxury of me being there for a lifetime. There's not that's not in the bailiwick. And I strive to not be a career politician. I might be career running, but actually serving. That's something that we don't need, and certainly West Virginia has been victimized by these career politicians. Joe Manchin is just another one. It's all about me, as Joe likes to put it. So I think that in what we ought to do is try to strive and set examples, and it really needs to be new West Virginia politicians, I think, conservative Democrats and conservative Republicans, and people that are really looking after the best interest of our country and not their best interest, basically a political career. And I just, when you look at the scenario and you look at the people that are running our country today, it keeps going back to one thing. Do these people know anything about capitalism and free enterprise, and do they know how to create a job? None of them do, because of the parent.
And, well, sir, I've got one more question for you before we go.
Yes, sir.
Now, what have you been doing to promote your campaign?
Well, I think the biggest thing that I've been doing so far is trying to put organizations and structures of people that are like-minded, like myself, that have a common goal for the best interest of our state and the best interest of our country. And that's crisscrossing the state of West Virginia, meeting a heck of a lot of people, putting an organization together, and I think a very successful organization that come after a little bit after early May, we're going to have quite a contest with the United States Senate, and I think everybody is going to be ready.
Sir, I want to thank you for coming on our program tonight.
Hey, listen, thank you very much for the opportunity, and God bless America.